Jeff Platt here for PokerNews.com. We are at the 49th Annual World Series of Poker. Figured this would be a good time to check in with the boss man, the tournament director of the WSOP, and Caesars Entertainment, let me see if I can get this right, Vice President of International Poker Operations, Mr. Jack Effel.
Easy enough. Around here they just call me the poker guy, so easy enough. Everybody knows me, so there goes Jack the poker guy.
Okay, so, Jack the poker guy. My first question to you, how massive of an undertaking is this entire World Series of Poker?
So the WSOP obviously is, big operation. We have 200,000 square feet of poker that happens, and every room has a rhyme or reason. Everything requires planning and execution. It's about 1,700 employees that get hired just to actually operate the thing. There's a team of about 40, 50 people that are working year-round to ensure that everything is planned and set up properly, from the layout and the AV and all the building and all the different cages and all the different things that actually have to be put together. Obviously our poker productions and Poker Central partnership, and all of the programming and all the stuff that has to be planned and set up to then be executed, and all of those things. So it requires a lot of meetings, a lot of people. And so when you talk about me, it's not about me, it's about everyone that it takes to actually pull off something of this magnitude. And the one thing is that it's bigger than all of us, right? And that it's meaningful, and that there's something at the end of all of it, which is what you see here is the biggest event in the world.
All of that execution will certainly be put to the test this weekend in the Colossus. More than 20,000 entries expected. How has that tournament evolved over these last couple years? So
there's a couple of different times where you really see a big bang at the World Series of Poker. Here we have you realize 275,000 transactions, 120,000 just in the bracelet events, tens of thousands of people coming through the doors. And we have a lot of big events, and these marquee events that happen every weekend. Colossus being probably definitely our largest attended event of the year. It's simply a function of being able to be prepared, right? For the Colossus, yes, big event, around 20,000 people that show up every year. We figured out how to execute that event. But let's not forget that we have the first flight of the Giant that's going to happen tonight at 7 o'clock, and we're expecting over 10,000 participants over the course of WSOP for that. We're expecting 20,000 for the Colossus. We're expecting several thousand for all the marquee events throughout the summer, like the Millionaire Maker, the Monster Stack, the Double Stack, which is a new event. Of course, big weekends when we have seniors. We have the 888. We have the little one for one drop. We have a big $1 million guarantee at the end with the closer. The main events, July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th this year. So we have 13 bracelets after the main starts. So the schedule itself is very comprehensive. It's very aggressive. There's something here all summer long, from the time we open the doors on Tuesday all the way through to the end. Daily deep stacks that are going on every day that are bigger and better than they've ever been. Lots of people indoors. King's Lounge for high limit action. I mean, there's so many things to do at the World Series of Poker. If you come here with whatever amount of money that you have in your bankroll, you will find something that you enjoy doing, I promise you.
I think you all have set it up well for the lower limits player who are going to come and play the Giant or the Colossus or the high rollers. Speaking of the high rollers, you all are incorporating some changes this year. A shot clock is going to be put into play. A big blind ante is going to be incorporated as well. Do you feel like we'll start to see more and more of that as the World Series of Poker continues to evolve?
I believe that for the World Series of Poker, I want everything to kind of be trial and tested, right? So anything that we launch, I want it to be something that is accepted, so we can make it the best competition possible. You can test some, but you don't want it to be a complete test ground, right? So you want, when something gets launched at the World Series of Poker, this is the Olympics of poker. So you want that competition to be as true and as pure form as possible. So meaning that it has some history, right? And so there's been some time, players have been used to playing a certain format, or they've been playing it somewhere else, or this is kind of how they're thinking about poker, or the strategies, or that kind of stuff. Now there are some things that we will try that are a little bit different, but they are things that are maybe derivatives of something that's already trial and tested, right? And so for like the big blind ante, obviously you see it all over the world in many different fashions. If you go to Europe, it's the button ante, so it's still not completely settled into wherever it should be and what the proper procedures are and that sort of thing. I like the big blind ante personally because it's easier to keep up with. It makes it easier for the dealers. Seems like the American players or the U.S. players like that format, and that's what we decided to go with for the World Series. We're testing it in the high rollers. We're testing it in like 8 different bracelet events across the entire schedule. We're testing it in a couple of the deep stacks. So I'm giving it a good sample, but I'm not saying that I think it's the end-all be-all for every single tournament that we have, because we have to remember that, we have more, recreational players and professionals than anywhere else. We have, like I said, 120,000 that play in the bracelet events, 275,000 total. Not everybody thinks the same. Not everybody feels the same. There's a lot of people that come to the World Series of Poker for the first time that have never even heard of a big blind ante. And so, until you've been able to get those folks adjusted and introduce it to them, you shouldn't just say, hey, this is the best way to do it, right? So I get to get a full sample this summer to kind of test big blind ante and see how it plays out for the majority of people at all different levels. And then we'll be able to make a more informative decision for future events. I don't know that I ever see it completely taking over as the end-all, be-all, sole procedure for collecting antes in poker tournaments, but I do think it's a really cool idea. And I also think that if poker may have started out as a big blind ante, then it would have probably always been a big blind ante. But we're kind of, a couple of 100 years past that, of everybody throwing in their ante every hand. So we go back to this far back as we possibly can think in poker, that people put in money before they get cards, before they play a hand, right? And so trying to retrain people and do all that stuff, it'll happen. It happens over time, and we're going to try to make sure that we get people accustomed to doing it one way and figure out which way is better. Or maybe it's just always going to be you have some like this and some like that.
Finally, Jack, we see the Thunderdome behind us in Amazon this year, but we also have a final table streaming setup in the Brasilia room. How important is all this content for the viewer at home, somebody who can't come out to Las Vegas, and they're able now to enjoy the World Series of Poker just about every day from their couch?
So I think for $10 a month, PokerGo is a great thing. So you can watch World Series of Poker from your home if you're not in Las Vegas. And we have 2 tables this year that we're going to be able to stream and get out to the public, so people can actually enjoy and participate as part of World Series of Poker and what's happening every single day, and see who's going to win instead of having to read about it in the headlines or catch it in the updates later. So having more exposure, having more broadcasts, it's better for the public, it's better for visibility, it's better for people to get introduced to our game. So yes, this year more aggressive. We've got the mothership behind us. We have the secondary stream in Brasilia. We're going to do some day 2s. We're going to do some feature tables. We're going to do a lot of final tables, and we're going to have programming throughout the entire summer, way more than we ever have. And we're having more coverage for the main event this year on ESPN, everyday coverage for that. We have the big one for One Drop finishing up at the end on the 15th, 16th, and 17th. So there is tons of exposure and cool stuff happening for the 49th annual World Series of Poker. So if you can't be here, you can watch it, you can follow it, you can go to WSOP.com, you can download PokerGo, or you can just come and participate and play whatever you want, right? We have something for you.
Jack, thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
All right, Jeff, thank you, and let's catch this again somewhere along the way. We'll see how we're doing a few weeks from now.
We'll do a report card, a progress checkup, all that good stuff. All right, that is Jack Effel, the tournament director of the World Series of Poker. He says you can just call him Jack the Poker Guy.
Jack the Poker Guy. Jack at WSOP. We got it. We're good.
And you can call me Jeff from PokerNews.com.